Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So good to have you here today. Thank you so much for the views, the subscription, your comments, your encouragement thus far, for sharing, recommending. Here we had today. Alright, so I am sure we learned a few things from the previous videos on the importance of the grades. And in this video, I'm going to be shifting away totally from the grades. So now that we know that the grades are important, I also said that the grades alone cannot do the job. The grades alone is not sufficient. You need something more. And just like you saw in the title of this video, yes, I actually got my first job, and it was not my certificate that got me the job. In fact, as at then, I'm not so sure I'd gotten my certificate from school. I got my first job on the day of my convocation, and that was just about I think I finished my exam in October. Convocation was in November, and I got my first job in November. But it wasn't the certificate, it wasn't the first class that got me the job, and that's what I'll be sharing in this video. What I need to thrive in today's world. Okay, so let me quickly share the story of the job, and then I'll go into the main thing. I remember, okay, after school, yeah, there's this vibe of, okay, I don't want to stay at home, I'm waiting for youth service but pending the time. So I remember speaking to a friend, and he told me about applying for internships, doing something while I'm waiting for youth service, just to build the work experience, because you go out there and they're telling you they want 2 years work experience and you've been in school all your life. So yeah, so he sent me some vacancies that I had, some job updates, and I applied to this particular job. They wanted an intern for I think about 3 months or 4 months, and I applied for the job. That was like my first major application, because aside the industrial training I did, I'm applying for a job all by myself. So I remember piling up my CV. My friend told me how to work on the CV, he helped me, and in the CV, the only thing I could see was leadership here, leadership there. All of my leadership experiences in school, everything I did in school was in that CV. I mean, everything I did in school outside reading book was in the CV, and I sent it out. And so a few days after I sent the CV out, I got a call from the recruiter, and she was like, "Oh, amazing, am I not so person? Are you done serving?" I said, "No, I'm not finished serving. I just graduated. I'm waiting to go for service." And she said, "Oh, sorry, they actually wanted somebody who was through with service and all of that. I guess they maybe were looking for an opportunity where you would intern and stay afterwards." And I felt like, okay, fine, it's not an issue. I moved on. I was going about my day-to-day activities, and I think 2 days later or the next day, I really can't remember, and I got a call from the same person, and she was like, okay, she understands I've not gone for service, but really looking at my CV, she's so excited about every other thing that I had done, leadership capacities and all of that, and she would love to give me a chance to come for the job. And so she told me that she was going to get back to me, and I'm like, okay, what's there on the CV that could have attracted this person? And eventually I got the call. I was supposed to do an interview, but I ended up not doing the interview. I don't know, every other person there did the interview, I didn't do it, and I went for the job. And I remember the first encounter I had with the HR personnel, the HR lead of the organization. She was like, "Oh, do you know the thing that got me on your CV?" When I saw vice president of FSM Futa, I was like, wow, really, this person is, for you to be able to be a leader, to lead a fellowship, and you still have these good grades. And she was not like, "Oh, I also had 24 square." And I'm like, "Oh, really? That's amazing." And that was just it. That was what got me the job. It wasn't about what I studied, because it was not a chemistry firm, it was not a manufacturing industry. It was a pure HR organization and human resource organization and all of that. They recruit for other companies. And so I that got me thinking that what if everything I had to offer was just first class industrial chemistry? Perhaps it could have just been, "Oh, sorry, we really don't need you," because I wasn't going there to go and mix chemicals. I wasn't going there to go and talk chemistry. It was something totally different from chemistry. And the truth is, it's been like that in virtually every other job I have done, especially on this my current job that I'm doing. It's not even chemi anything, not talk of chemistry. And the same thing happened in the course of the interview. I was in an interview session, and one of the panelists just said, really, like, How did you do all of these things as a student? Like, 1 year, virtually every year there was one responsibility, there was one thing, and those things, what it did was it built me. So let me talk about some of those skills that students don't want to pay attention to. You're in school, you're not just in school to read and get the grade. If you get the grade, there are some first class students that can't sit before an interview panel. You don't even know what you want to say. They ask you, tell me somewhere you solved the problem, and you're trying to think, okay, where have I solved the problem? Tell me how you've worked in a team, how well can you communicate. Some of us can't even communicate. All you just do is to read and pour out and get your A. Very good, but that is not all you need. One of the things for me that I enjoyed doing while I was in school is it all started from volunteering to be the assistant class rep of my department. That was, going into school. I already told myself, okay, girl, you're coming here to go through school. You're coming here to develop every aspect of you, as much as you want to get the first class, as much as you want to get the good grades. And so in my first year, I volunteered as the assistant class rep of my department, and it was fun. It was an opportunity to lead, to know how to deal with people, to manage people. Although after the first year, I had to drop that post, and it was because there was some other higher responsibility. My second year, I was a leader in my fellowship. I was an executive, and that was a fellowship of about 400 students plus. You know what that means: having to deal with people, having to lead people, having to listen to people's problem and provide solution. Same thing in my third year, I was an executive, like that and like that. So since we're building the right skills in me, because the skills you'll be needing, you need communication skills. You need to know how to communicate. You need to know how to solve problems. How can you solve problem? What problem have you encountered before? It's not mathematics problem, it's not engineering problem. Fine, that has its own part. But out there, people want to know what you can offer beyond this paper that you are carrying. You're not going to mix chemicals all your life. I'm using chemistry because I studied chemistry. Since I left school, it was just the only time I have dealt with chemistry was in my last job that I did before this current one, and that was, I worked in an oil and gas testing firm, and there it was chemistry. Okay, I had to use all of those spectrometer, everything I learned, and it was just an aspect. It wasn't like I used everything I studied in 5 years. But now I'm off chemistry. I'm not cool. The other things I built in my 5 years, that is what I'm using now. And so serving as a class rep, as an assistant class rep, taught me how to deal with people, taught me how to communicate with people. When I got into school, I had this very bad temper. Like, I was this kind of person that could talk to anybody, talk to people anyhow. In fact, my friends were always telling me that, girl, you talk to people anyhow. I just could talk to you anyhow. I didn't know how to say sorry. I didn't mind saying thank you. Those things were just there. But having to deal with people, deal with different type of persons, I had to learn how to talk to people well. I learned how to talk to people politely. I learned how to communicate, pass a message across. Communication is not just about me talking, but ensuring that people understood what I was saying. Then coming into fellowship leadership was a different ball game entirely. Also communication. Sometimes you will have to stand in front of a group of people to tell them things, to communicate things. You have to stop thinking about yourself. There's a problem on ground, you need to provide solution at a spot. Like, you don't have the time to go and think about it. And so these are the things that serving as a leader, getting involved in leadership taught me. Now, you necessarily may not have to get involved in fellowship leadership per se. There are so many extracurricular activities in school that you can be a part of, so many platforms, so many clubs, so many groups that would build you up. You need to learn interrelational skills. Some of us cannot relate with people. You can't work in a team because all your life it was just school, library, church. You alone. Even the church you go to, you don't even want to talk to anybody. You don't even want to be in a team. Some way of being in a team is being a member of the workforce of a church, of a group. You're in their workforce. You work with 2, 3, 4 persons, so you know how to share ideas, you know how to listen to other people. So you can't just go to school and feel like all you need is your certificate. It won't take you far. Even for the scholarship opportunities I talked about in my last video, you will see what these people are asking you. Like, okay, we want to know where you have demonstrated leadership, we want to know where you demonstrated networking. And so you need all of those things. You need leadership skills, you need ability to network, you need ability to communicate, you need ability to solve problems. And if you don't get involved, there is no way you can know how to provide solutions to problems. So as much as getting the grades is perfect, you need more than the grades. Like I can't, you need that. It's if you're going to survive out there. I know people are out of school and they are not using their certificate. Some persons have not collected their certificate from the school, but they are thriving. Why? Because they understood the importance of building every aspect of their life. Like I said, that the academics is just one part, your certificate is just one thing there is to you. So if it's good to celebrate it, oh, I have a first class, I have a 2-1, beautiful, but you will get to a point that nobody will ask you that, okay, what did you say you have? No, they want to see what you can do as an individual. They want to see what you can do. How can you're in a place and things are not going on well. They want to see, okay, how can you step in and I'm that kind of person. I've discovered there's no way I find myself. I want to take responsibility because I have learned that via the things I exposed myself to while in school, from taking responsibility as a snack class chef to other things I did. At the point I was part of this, there was this body in my school that were teaching people tutorials, mathematics, teaching 100 level students, 100 levels. I volunteered to be a part of them. Why? Because I just wanted to build myself. At the same time, I believe that life wasn't just about me, so it had to be about other people. I always jumped at every opportunity to lead. I always jumped at every opportunity to be at the forefront. Not because I like being at the front, not because I want to show that I'm the leader, no. But I had this understanding that being at the front will make me will expose me to so much. Being a leader will expose me to so many things, and if I can go through those things effectively, I am going to be a better person. So I always, even during my youth service, I was eager, looking forward to leadership, and I made myself there. Anywhere I go to, I can't be pushed aside. I will definitely emerge as a leader. Why? Because I have built leadership in me. I think leadership, I see leadership, and leadership is not just until maybe I'm given the position. If I am in a place and we have to carry out a project, there's no leader, there's nobody, I volunteer to say, okay, I can be in charge. What do we do? I volunteer to coordinate, I volunteer to lead. That is me. That is what helps me. People look out for these things and they see that, oh, this girl will be able to handle this, and they call you, okay, can you do this? Why? We've observed you. So don't let your life just be book. If it is just book now, please spread out. If you're going into the university now, make up your mind. Now, it might not be easy. You might want to wonder, okay, so, Dami, how do you balance all of these things? Yes, that was one question I was asked in my last interview. Like, how were you able to do all of this and your results was not suffering? And so, one key thing for me is that, first of all, I have to understand that I can do all things. And that's like my favorite quotes in life. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. I also understand that I'm not going to be the first person in any situation I find myself. And so when I meet myself in a situation that is looking like, okay, what do? I tell myself that, okay, you're not the first person going through this. Someone else had gone through this and they were able to overcome. So if I have access to people who have passed through that same phase, the first thing I do is to reach out to them. Okay, this, how were you able to go through this? That is like saving me a lot of stress, saving me having to learn by trying and failing, by talking to somebody who has done it before, and they tell you, okay, wow, they tell you this was what works for me, this was what I did, this was how I was able to come through. And so I imbibe some of those things. Then another thing, I tell myself that this thing is not an impossibility, it is possible to do it. And so I remember in my first year, I sacrificed a lot, so it's going to determine a lot of discipline from you. I knew that, girl, you are doing so many things. In fact, I wanted to go into politics in school, but at the point I had to drop it because I was already so much into fellowship leadership, and I knew that I had GP to beat, and I felt that if I add politics to it, for me, I may not be able to handle it. Some other person can be very effective in leadership in the fellowship, and they are very, very into politics, school leadership, and at the same time, I think I know somebody like that, still at the same time graduated as, I'm not sure now if it's the best graduate student or something, but the person graduated so well. So some people have the capacity. So you know yourself, I knew that, okay, my capacity could carry this leadership, could carry one or two other extracurricular activity I was involved in, and can still carry my academics superbly. So I knew my capacity, and so I didn't take in more. at all. I did not take it more. When it was time for political leadership, I had to drop it. Although I was still involved, I still went for 1 or 2 conferences. These things build you up. Like, don't make school look like you're not in secondary school. Even in secondary school, there are so many things you have to do to build yourself. And so coming out there, when you go for interview, they are likely not going to ask you what is chemistry. They're likely not going to ask you how do you mix animal and fish or whatever you studied. They are likely going to ask you real life situation, because you're going to deal with real life thing. What happens if you're doing this and you have a problem? What do? You need to think on spot. But if you have not been stretched, if you have not handled problems, if you have not handled any situation, you're just there and you're just looking like nah, it doesn't work. Even most exams you even write will be logical reasoning, verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, critical thinking. Like, people want to see what has that 5 years built in you. So please, school is not a place to, and that's why people now come out and they say Nigerian youth are not employable. That's not true. It's because we feel like school will teach. There are some things that school will not teach you. You will bring it out yourself. Ordinary group assignments you can't lead. You just want to feel like, okay, let me be at the back. No, push yourself out. Want to be at the forefront. Let them say that you like fame. There were people that told me then that, oh, this girl, you just like show, you like always want to be at the forefront. And I'm like, okay, you can't understand. I know what I am working towards. So you can say what you want to say. It's not about you. It's about me. And so right now, there's no way I get to. I can't stay in a place and I'm there for days and you don't know that a leader is here. Why? Because it's just in me. I just always want to look out for, okay, what can I do? What can be better? What can I contribute? How can I? Because that is what I have built over time. And so it's time to start looking outside. Like, look outside of just that book. The university is not just to school you to get a certificate. You also, if you check your certificate, they will tell you that in learning and character. So character is not just good girl being immoral. No. Character is also building the skills. And aside all of those skills, there are some other things you can learn something else aside what you're studying. And thank God for my school, Federal University of Technology, Akure, where we do entrepreneurship management. I know a lot of people that today they are practicing entrepreneurship management. I also learned how to sew a dress, and I can still make a dress. I can make a simple dress because I've not really gone back to that in a while, but I can still make a simple dress. I still tried it after school and I saw that, oh, I can still do this. So learn something else. Ensure that there is something else you're learning, whether artificial intelligence, technologies, but not everybody would. Everybody will actually be there, but you may not be at the core, you may not be at the forefront, but there are certain little things that you can learn to give you an edge. Know the terminologies, know the technology that applies to what you're studying, know the better ways that people are doing what you're doing. Okay, I'm studying science lab and science lab technology. Okay, what is this about? Okay, what are better ways? What is happening outside the world? What are the innovations going on in this field? You should not graduate from school and you're still talking like somebody who was doing that in 10 years ago. And the lecturer will not tell you this. That is why you have your phone. That is why you have the internet. There are so many things you can learn. Learn from other universities. There are resources everywhere. So we should not wait that. Your problem is not your university. If your university is not giving you what you want, then find other sources where you can get what you want. The aim is to still get it. So whether you're getting it from the school or you're getting it elsewhere, just get it. So ensure that when you're leaving school, you have more than one certificate. I had lots of certificates. I have certificates of leadership, I have certificates of service, I have certificates of okay, there was time I went for a debate competition. I had like 4, 5, 6 certificates. I know that, yes, and I still have my certificate. So I knew that, okay, I just didn't. Same thing for NYSC. I didn't just go and come. Okay, I should say this too for those who. I said it in my last video and I'll still say it again. If you say that the academics is not measuring up, you're not getting the grades, don't feel bad. Channel your energy to something else. Stop feeling bad. Stand up from where you are. Channel your energy. If it is that you want to start building it. Channel your energy to something else. So that is just a part of you. And the truth is, In fact, maybe what you actually came to that school to learn was to meet people, to be able to learn business. So do your business and do it well. So don't feel like it has to be, you have to have the grades. If you can have it, have it. But if you see that it is not measuring up, instead of wasting the energy, sit down, talk to yourself. Okay, what else can I get? What can I channel this energy in? What makes it fun for me? Because there are some jobs that they will not ask you what you study. Like I said earlier, I am not working with my industrial chemistry certificate, no, although it was like a stepping stone because of the grade, but I am not working with it. I am only on skills, on what I can offer, on what other things I have learned, on the fact that okay, I have been a leader, I've been able to solve problems, I can think out of the box, and I can communicate effectively, and all of that. That is what I am working with now, plus every other thing I'll be getting after now. So really, like, okay, this is just like a bonus and I'll be adding this to it. Your confession also matters. I remember all through my days in school where people would say Nigeria is bad, Nigeria is this, there are no jobs. Fine, they say it, but I always ensure that I told myself that, girl, your case will be different. I always said that, and that is, I always told myself. Now, I wasn't just confessing, I was working towards it, but I ensured that I wasn't just beating about the bush. I was not just working for working sake. I was working and I was confessing that I was going to get a job, and not just a job, but a good job. If I want to get a job, if depending on whatever I want to do, it was going to be with ease for me. And so as you're doing all of those things, mind what you say. Don't build negative energy in yourself. You can get frustrated when people keep telling you there are no jobs there, see graduate are not getting job, and people will come and tell me I know first class that has finished for 5 years. I'm like, okay, good, that's their story, but my case will be different. I always told myself that. And so when I was building myself and doing all of those things, I always emphasized it to myself that, girl, your case is going to be different. So I'm not just doing this with the mindset that there was no fear. There was no fear. There was no point in time all through my days in school that I was afraid that, okay, what if I finish and there's nothing for me to do? It never crossed my mind. I just knew that, let me keep doing what I'm doing. I kept confessing that there was going to be a way for me. And so you are your confession, you're what you believe. What you believe is what you attract. And so don't allow that negative vibe, don't allow that negative energy around you. Fine, some things are reality, but they don't have to be your own reality. So as bad as it may seem to be, there are people who are still celebrating, there are people who are still getting the best, there are people who are still reaching and meeting up with their goals, there are people who are still getting promoted by the day. So choose what you believe, choose what you say, choose what to allow to sink into you. Okay, so thank you for joining on this talk. I know it's a long talk, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. Build yourself. Be a multi-dimensional, multi-purpose person. What are those talents inside of you? Yeah, I didn't talk about that. What are the talents? What are the skills in you? Things that you can do naturally. Develop it. Develop your writing. Don't say, school did not give me time. Develop your speaking. I have always told my friends that I like talking a lot, and I know that I am going to make money from talking. I'm not going to be talking for talking's sake. I love to talk. And so what I didn't just say it, I also started building myself. I always found opportunity to talk when you want to do an event. Okay, why don't I anchor your event? Oh, you want to do this? Oh, why can't let me represent you to defend the project? Because I knew that those things were building my public speaking skills. I took certain courses also. So look out for some of us your abilities, your natural abilities, your writing, your drawing. Don't throw it away because you want to get a degree. You never can tell if it is those things that will actually make the way, that will actually be the real thing. So build your singing, build your acting, build everything you can build. Like, build it. There's enough room to build all of those things you can build, but apply wisdom. Know when to do what, and if you're going to do all of those things, definitely you have to cut down on so many unnecessary things. So I knew that I had a lot of things I was doing already, so I had little or no time for frivolities. I had little or no necessary, or this can be postponed, or it is not urgent and important. I was always pushing it aside because I knew that, girl, you have so much already that you're doing, and so bringing in so many unnecessary things would not help. So that is how to scale through. That is how to do so much and still excel in everything. You don't have to, yes, you can actually in any, but if you're going to do that, then you have to be ready to cut down so many unnecessary things. And also be ready to sacrifice so many things that are a bit necessary, like your sleep. I'm not saying you will not rest, but you will sacrifice some part of that time to chat, time to play, time to relax. But some of those things would have to be sacrificed because you have a lot of other things. And right now, when the time comes, you make up for all those sleeping. You go for vacations, you go for relaxations. Hi, thank you for joining me. Please, I need you to share this video. I need you to share it. Please do that for me. Share with friends. Share with every Nigerian youth. Share with young people out there, and subscribe to my channel. I remain your girl. Will always work on them. Thank you. See you.